Hey guys, it's Erin. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I thought we could do a little recap of our cash envelopes from last week. Alright, so getting right into this is my Happy Planner notebook. This is the Happy Planner notes. I made my own cover for it. And this is where I keep everything budget and debt related, nicely organized for myself. And I do these updates every single week. Usually on Friday, I upload our weekly budget. If not Friday, then Saturday. And soon thereafter, I do our cash envelopes. I recap from the previous week, and then I do a video where I do cash envelope stuffing for the coming week. So I'm going to turn to, where are we at? Yes, this was last week's payday. So this is my last week's budget schematic that I did. And this was a single payday for us. And I had $313 for my cash envelopes, so for our variable expenses, and that is what I planned on stuffing, and that's what I did last week. So let's turn the page. All right, and this was my very quick, not so pretty schematic for my envelopes last week. And here are the envelopes that I used. I've already taken them apart. Usually I keep them clipped real safely with a little gold binder clip, but these are ready to be disassembled. And we didn't have very many categories last week. We had dining out, a miscellaneous envelope for my husband, one for myself, our groceries for our weekly grocery shopping, our gas, which is our fuel for our cars, and dog food. So there was a total here of $355. Now I estimated our variables last week to be $313, but I had an additional $42 that I was able to use from the week's previous cash envelopes. So what I did was work that into my miscellaneous envelope, and I have spent almost all of that. So instead of $30 like I typically add, I put $72 in. So let's take the envelopes apart and see where we are with everything so we can track on how well we did. And actually, I'm not even sure if I should say how well we did, because not having anything left over is not a bad thing. I'm okay with that, because in my opinion, after we budget for this and we stuff the money in here, it's spent, it's accounted for. And so if we use every penny of it, that's, like I said, not a bad thing. It's what we budgeted. If we have any left over, I consider that just a bonus. So let's go to groceries first, since that's the first one. What I didn't do last week, and what I'm not going to do this week, is do a tracker. So I stuffed the envelopes with a tracker just so I would know where I started out kind of in my head or as I was doing shopping over the course of the week. But I also write it here, so as you can see, groceries, $100, and I have the same thing written on the tracker. For a while, I'm going to give myself a break from the tracker because it's just a little bit too much tracking for my liking right now. I just feel like at this point in the summer, and with so much going on, like I'm in master's classes, and you know, I work full time, and we've had some issues with our dogs. I've had my own health issues and just things going on around the house. It just was one more step that I was forcing myself to do. And I think as long as I'm reconciling here, I don't necessarily have to have this be a second accountability factor. I'm the one spending the money, so I figure that's good enough. So in our grocery envelope, we have $16 left over. And I grocery shopped last week at both Aldi and Giant Eagle. I did not go to Walmart. So we actually spent, let's see, let's do it properly, $100 minus 16, which means we spent $84. So that means I spent 83 and change. Most likely. I don't remember anything being round figured. So I'm going to put $84 here, because what I do is I always round up, and that's strictly because I don't have anywhere to put the coin change in those envelopes. So I just put that in a separate little kind of zipper pouch in my purse, and then I empty it pretty frequently in our change jar at home. So I'm going to write actual up here. And somebody did have a good idea. in my last video when I was doing the schematic. I was doing the top portion for the stuffing and the bottom portion for the reconciliation. But honestly, if I just do the extra columns, why would I write everything twice? And she was absolutely right. I can't remember who said that, but it was a really great point. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to do the item in the budget during the stuffing week, and this will be the reconciliation part. So we had $16 left over. So that's a great start. So I'm going to set that aside and set the grocery envelope aside. All right, now here is our gas envelope. And I had said this before, I really didn't need a whole lot of gas. I think John used 45 and I used what was left with a $20 left over. So we've been paying cash for our gas, which I don't love, only because, you know, it's not as convenient as paying at the pump. But it's okay. I mean, it's literally another minute of process in the whole thing. So I have $20 left over. And like I said, that's because I didn't need to put very much gas in my car. All right, so I'm going to put the gas envelope aside. And then here we have miscellaneous for John, and it is empty. He just took the $30. So I budgeted 30 and the actual was 30. And that was a wash. There's nothing left over. This was my miscellaneous envelope, and it ended up having, $72 in it. So 30, which was regular amounts, plus 42, which was extra from our cash envelopes, which brought it to 72, and I have $11 left. So I bought quite a few little odds and ends last week. So what is that? 72, like I can't do that. 72 minus 11, which means I spent $61, which truly means I spent 60 and change. But for rounding purposes, 61 and then 11 left over. And I say this every time. I'm really surprised there's ever anything left in my miscellaneous envelope because I'm a spender. And here in our dog food, we spent the entire $15, which was most likely 14 and change, as it always is. So I round that up to 15. And that was a wash. And the reason why I say most likely is because last week I coupled the dog food and our Aldi run all in the same transaction, and I just took the money out of the dog food envelope and put it with the grocery money. So we buy our dog food supplies at Aldi. All right, and dining out, I started at $58, and there are $3 left. Okay, so 58 minus 3 is 55. Now, one thing I did want to bring up in this video, and I contemplated on whether or not I should do an entire video about it because I do think it's an interesting topic. I had mentioned, let me go back and see. That's why I like these trackers, because you can literally go back and check yourself. So $40 was what I budgeted for dining out last week, and we ended up spending $36. So we went out to eat one time that week, I remember very clearly. And the bill was $29 and change. So for all intents and purposes, it was $30. And on $30, I left a $6 tip. So I had $4 remaining in that envelope. So I started out with 40 and I spent 36. And someone commented, at first they said you spent, or you put a $6 tip on a $40 bill with like this eye roll emoji. And I thought, well, okay, first of all, the bill wasn't $40, it was $29 and change. So let's just say 30. And $6 on 30 is 20%. And so I commented back and I'm like, well, actually, the bill, you know, explained just what I explained to you guys. The bill wasn't $40, it was actually $29. And I'm not sure where the eye roll is coming from because it's a 20% tip. And then she changed her comment and then she said same thing, like, oh, a $6 tip on a $30 bill and an eye roll. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe I'm just not getting it because where we live, and I know it's different everywhere, and of course if you go to Europe it's going to be even more different. Where we live, a 20% tip on, you know, your average dining out bill at a diner, which is where we were. It wasn't any kind of like highfalutin restaurant, because our bill wouldn't have been $29 in that case anyway. But a $6 tip on $29 and change is pretty average. And I don't think that that's something that necessarily warrants an eye roll. But again, maybe there's something I'm missing, because maybe it's the new thing to tip automatically at your local places, like, you know, 25%. I don't know, but we have always done 1 for every 5 for the longest time. And I think that that's pretty fair, especially, like I said, 2 people ate out at this diner, my husband and myself, for $29 and change, and that included iced tea. So you can imagine what the meals cost. It was extremely inexpensive. So I guess I just didn't get that comment, and she didn't reply again. So, I mean, I wasn't looking to be argumentative. I just really didn't get it, and I just didn't really know where that was coming from or why the eye roll. I mean, I don't know. So anyways, that was just some food for thought. If you guys have any interesting methods of tipping or philosophies about tipping, I would love to hear them, because I do think it's an interesting topic. I think there are some people who are really poor tippers, and there are some people who overly tip, and we have done that before too. We're definitely not cheap people. If we were, we would have a whole hell of a lot more money in the bank than we do. So we spent $305 last week. All right. So that means, let's see, $355. And I could do the math in my head, but just let's double check. Should be $50. So that means I should have $50 here in this pile of cash. So let's count that. 20, 30, 40, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, and 50. So I've said this before, I love when the numbers crunch. So remaining is $50. But let's also add up these columns, just for the fun of it. Just because when math works, it's fun. $3 plus $11 plus $16 plus $20 is $50. So that worked out perfectly. And I'm really happy to have such a large amount in our remaining column. And that means that I can start my sinking funds with this amount right here. Now I am going to follow this up with a video on our cash envelope stuffing, and I'm going to get that done for the coming week. But I also want to let you know I'm going to do a 3rd video, and the reason is because I haven't done this yet on my channel, and I'm going to be working on sinking fund categories. So I had said in the beginning that since we had so much debt to pay off, and that was our focus, that I would not be doing extra savings, I wouldn't be doing sinking funds and all that fun stuff. But, you know, I have found that putting the brakes and going a little bit slower on our debt has really afforded us to make sure that we have enough money for everything else in our life, because your life cannot be consumed with paying debt. It just doesn't work, and then you're going to overextend yourself in other ways. So I'm going to start our sinking funds again, and one of our sinking funds is going to be the Christmas savings challenge. And I have mentioned this before, and if you guys are interested, check out my blog, because this PDF free printable is available for you to download, and you can cut it to size like I have, and you can fit it in your Happy Planner Notes notebook or your Happy Planner in general. And this gives you the formula to save every single month starting June until the end of November and reach $500. And it really isn't that painful. If you look at the breakdowns, it's really pretty doable for most people. But again, I won't say this is for everybody. It's just, and a lot of people already have a sinking fund for the holidays, which is so smart to do it in January. But I think for anyone who hasn't started, this will give you a nice head start on the holidays to have this by the end of November. And then of course, December is optional savings. So this will be all by the end of November. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll be back with my sinking funds that I'm going to do on this page and share that with you. And of course, I hope to see you guys in my next video. Take care.